We've all heard it from a young age. Be a leader, not a follower. And of course, in this whole age of social media, this phrase has taken on a whole new meaning. As now, of course, whenever you follow someone's page, you're a follower.
What if they take that photo and instantaneously put it out there on the line and they share it with their friends?
Or if you follow someone on YouTube, you're a subscriber. So of course, in these cases, it doesn't have to be a bad thing to be a follower. However, what does it actually mean to be a leader in this day and age? I think this is like a super important thing to outline and to know about. Is it just simply the person with the most popularity, or the one who has the most social media followers? Is it the person who just like says the most outlandish things, and the one who gets the most clicks and attention for it as a result?
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
Does the leader have to be the loudest and most vocal person in the room? So I want to dive deeper into this topic to help you guys become better, stronger leaders in your own lives, as well as to know when following someone can actually be a good thing. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now.
Give me a...
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the Jared and James channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, it must mean that you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. It's JAREDRYANWEASS.com. Buy the book, support me, and make sure to check out all the awesome shirts in there as well. Every shirt has been designed by me, every shirt is made of 100% organic cotton, so like any support at all, as I'm always saying, will be very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper into real leadership now. So the first aspect of true leadership like I want to discuss is something that I heard from a Nick Barr podcast recently, where he said how leadership is about influence, not popularity. So, are you able to change and inspire people's behaviors, or are you just popular? Now of course, this is something like I've always been big on when it comes to having my own platform. I don't simply want to monetize people's attention, I want to inspire better, healthier behaviors. And the best way, in my opinion, to change other people's behaviors is to model the change myself. Or in other words, lead by example. And one prime example of this in my own life, that I've actually spoken about in the past on here, is when it comes to getting so many people from my gym to start drinking coconut water like me. Now to be clear, the crazy thing is, I never forced anyone to do it. I wasn't one of these people who went around with signs and advertisements telling people like, you have to drink coconut water if you want to be healthy and successful. And yet, so many people at my gym, and this is actually crazy to think about how many people have gotten hooked on it, but I brought coconut water with me to the gym basically every single day for the past few years now, and I wouldn't tell anyone about it unless someone asked me about it. So after a few months of doing this, I had a few people come up to me asking me about it, asking me what coconut water was, and like, what is it about that's good for you? And also, of course, since we're at a gym, you have people seeing me do some like big lifts or accomplish some like really cool athletic feats. So this of course gets people curious. What's the secret? So naturally, people started inquiring more.
Hey, what's your secret?
Yeah.
What's your secret?
And then more people a year later, more people 2 years later. And before I know it, I have all these people coming up to me telling me that I'm the reason why they started drinking coconut water. And hey, if any coconut water companies out there want to sponsor me, you're more than welcome to do so. And nowadays, of course, I go up to my gym people, joking around, asking them where their coconut water is every day. But this shows the power of influence and how to change someone's behavior for the better. And it didn't take me screaming at them or hitting people over the head with coconut water or going up to people every day bothering them with my message. I was simply quietly doing my thing for long enough that other people started to get curious. And this is also a big reason why, even though I haven't sold a bunch of books or shirts at the moment at the time of filming, I know that like this could change at any moment. I just have to keep putting myself out there, and eventually I believe that like if I keep doing this, and keep putting my best foot forward, and continue being the best person I can be, I'll get people wanting to support me, and people want to find out more as to what I'm all about and what my whole story is. So that's the first aspect. Leadership is not just popularity, but it's the ability to influence positive behavior shifts. Next up, I want to read a post coming from Adam Grant. So the post said, having followers doesn't make you a leader, it means you've captured attention. Narcissists build themselves up for personal glory, servant leaders build others up for a shared mission. Leadership is not about getting an audience, it's about guiding a group to meaningful goals. Very well said and like super powerful. So I totally agree with this, and I find this to be like a super important distinction to make in this day and age. You can have 1 billion followers just like for wearing a bikini, or cursing people out, or saying some crazy nonsense online, or whatever the case may be. But that doesn't make you a leader. I think we've all seen enough dumb content go viral these days,
Catch me outside, how about that?
where we say to ourselves, how does that person have 1 million followers? And I don't want to say most because like I don't want to generalize, but a lot of these people aren't actually leaders. They've just captured attention for views, and unfortunately, this is what the algorithm loves to reward. They don't care if it's hateful, stupid, or brain rot. All the algorithm is set up to do is monetize people's attention, no matter how that happens. But the issue is, and this has been a tough realization for me, when I'm here working for 5+ years making content, and yet I see some people out there who get more followers and more likes and more views than me overnight than I have in 5 years, it doesn't feel right.
Something's not sitting right.
And of course, as I have a video that talks about, life isn't always fair. But this is also because I'm trying to insert logic into a logic-less area. Followers doesn't mean people who look up to you, or once again, people you influence and change their behaviors. On social media, it just means people who get to watch you, whether it's clickbait, or sex appeal, drama, etc. So this is why I believe in some ways, I'm way more of an influencer than some of these people who have way more followers than me. How do I know this? Because I have people who come up to me all the time telling me that like I inspire them to lose weight. I inspire them to take better care of themselves, both mentally or physically. I have people who love talking to me because they tell me that like it helps them feel better. Now, can everyone with a massive following say that? And just to be clear, I want a massive following too. So this isn't me demonizing success for anyone. This is just me saying that like I'm gonna get there the right way. And I want to be an actual influencer, not just someone who has a lot of followers. I want to be an actual influencer in the true meaning of the word, not just a spiritually and morally devoid person who takes advantage of people. Now next up, true leaders are willing to go first, even if that means looking silly. And they are also people who are willing to be mocked for their beliefs.
What an idiot!
As you may or may not know by now, I have my beliefs on health, and the health system being all messed up of course. And of course, I was a victim of this and almost lost my life as a result of this messed up system. So, I have my personal experience, and I've done my research. So when I talk about the dangers of pharmaceuticals, or when I used to talk more about like all these conspiracies that like I still believe, I just don't talk about them as much now, because I focus more on positivity, and of course I felt like I did what I had to do with those for the most part. So now I'm more interested in focusing on solutions, and promoting on and focusing on the positive, versus hyper-focusing on all the negative, and all the ways that like we're being oppressed.
There's evil afoot.
But anyways, back when I first started talking about these things, I dealt with a ton of backlash, even coming from people who I know, and of course from strangers on the internet too, and people who were gaslighting me. But I stayed strong and was willing to go through with this because I wanted to help other people, and eventually a bunch of other people followed suit, as we all see now. And these days you do have a lot more people who are asking questions, which I think is awesome. And just to be clear once again, as I always say, I'm all for live and let live. So even if you believe totally different from me, I'm cool with you, as long as you don't force or impose your beliefs onto me. But it's not easy being the first one to step forward, especially because doing so leaves you the most vulnerable. Of course, it's always going to be quote unquote safer to stick with the group, but when you believe in something strongly, and yet you deny this just to fit in with the group, you're actually betraying yourself and your intuition. Followers don't critically think, they obey whatever they're told. And this goes for all sides of the aisle. They're just the ones who parrot all the talking points. Followers will give in to peer pressure out of fear of judgment, while leaders will stand strong. Leaders will embrace their different thinking patterns. And look, once again, I'm someone who believes that like a lot of conspiracies out there are true, but I got to this point by doing my research and thinking for myself. Unfortunately, this past year, I've discovered that like there's been a new money-making content venture, which is come up with whatever the craziest conspiracy that like pops into your head is, and tell everyone else like they're sheep if they don't believe you. But this is the same exact aspect that like I couldn't stand when it came to the original non-critical thinkers. And as such, a ton of bad conspiracies and nonsense have been circulating as well. If you were actually critical thinking, it's not just, oh, I'll automatically believe the other side. It's I'm going to think for myself and look into this for myself, and then come up with my own conclusion. And going in line with this, another key to being a leader is taking accountability whenever you're wrong.
You were right and I was wrong. I was wrong.
And this is another thing, like, I don't like that I'm seeing online these days. So when people come up with something, like when people say that like sports are scripted or staged, and not just simply rigged, but like scripted. And then these people will make a prediction that turns out to be totally wrong. So many of them won't admit it, and we'll just move on to the next thing. Or you had Paul Saladino, for instance, a super smart guy who has done a lot of good, I believe, but also for so long he was the carnivore diet guy, and then he shifted into animal-based. He used to be the guy who would call anyone who had something that like wasn't meat all these names, and like he would tell them how stupid they were. Did he ever apologize or admit that like he was wrong? And hey, maybe he did, maybe I just like didn't see it. But fake leaders or weak people will double down on their mistakes. It's almost like a childish response, and of course it's tough to do. It can be super tough to admit that like you were wrong. But if you do so, it will lead people to trusting you more in the long run. And it may sound counterintuitive, because it's like, I can't be wrong, let me protect my ego. But over time, it's going to lead to people trusting you more. And this idea of being able to admit when you're wrong leads me into when it's okay to be a follower. It's impossible to know everything as hard as I try. Sometimes there will be people out there who know more than you about certain subjects, and so it's okay every so often to defer to these people. Because let's just say on the flip side, you double down on something like you don't know anything about, and now you're trying to lead others with this knowledge. What do you think is going to happen? So now you're not just hurting yourself, but like you're hurting the others around you and those who are following you. And just to be clear, whenever there is something like I don't know, I take it upon myself to learn more and become an expert. So just because you may have to defer to someone on the subject now, does not mean that like you can't then learn about it if it's worth it to you to do so. But for instance, I'm not interested like in being a car mechanic. I'm not into like engineering as my brother is. He's someone who's always been like extremely handy. So while I'm someone who loves learning about nutrition, holistic health, sports, and human performance, chances are I'm not going to take the time to learn how to fix cars or do any type of like computer coding. So if God forbid something happens to my car or in my computer, I'm not going to try to fix it on my own. In these cases though, it's way more wise to admit what I don't know and find someone out there who does know more about these things. Real leaders know when to defer, and this can be tough sometimes, but it requires humility, and humility is of course a great quality to have. To admit what you don't know allows you to grow and learn from someone who does. Moving ahead, real leaders, or the best leaders, will be looking for solutions, not someone to blame. I played on plenty of sports teams that were so toxic, and the coaches and captains on these teams fostered a whole environment where it became the whole blame game every time something went wrong. Who messed up and like why didn't you defend this guy better? It's your fault. It's your fault for missing that shot. It's your fault like why we lost. Now if you're looking for accountability, you don't blame someone when they mess up.
That makes sense to me.
I can guarantee you that most athletes, or anyone who makes mistakes in life, probably isn't doing so on purpose. So if you were truly about helping the team, you would go first. You're the one who says my bad when something goes wrong, because doing so is going to encourage the others to do the same. Once again, on these toxic teams that like I played on, the captains were so often the ones who were skipping practice, and hopefully these guys aren't watching, but hey, even if they are, this should show them that like I took notice, and maybe it will inspire them to be better going forward. So then whenever the games came, and someone made a mistake on defense, or someone missed a shot, these were so often the first people searching for someone else to blame and scream at, thinking like doing this was leadership. But unfortunately, I'm sorry to break it to you guys, that's not true leadership, because a real leader would know that like playing the blame game only leads to more teammate infighting, less team chemistry, and no one benefits in the end. When you search for someone to blame, you may think to yourself, oh, this must relieve me of any wrongdoing. And unfortunately, once again, a lot of my coaches allowed and even encouraged this. But the best leaders, in my opinion, and the ones who people want to play for and want to work for, are the ones who are going to be looking for solutions, not just pointing out all the problems. Because anyone can point the finger and blame everyone else. That's of course super easy to do. It's easy to find the problems. But how do you move on next? How do you solve the problem? That requires real leadership. And same thing goes for content creators these days. It's become super popular online to hear people who are only talking about the problems of the world, or the problems in politics.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America.
But that's easy because they're also prevalent, and as a result, you have people who think to themselves, oh, these people pointing out the problems are making a difference. But who's actually making changes, who's being the change that they hope to see in the world. And once again, this is why I'm so big on spreading positivity and spreading positive messages on here that inspire people and empower them. If I wanted to, I could be just like everyone else and only focus on all the world's problems. But as I see it, where would that get us? And it wouldn't feel right to me because I wouldn't be helping people that way. It's one thing to bring awareness to the problems, as that is key, but it's a totally different thing to hyperfixate on the problems and to keep people's focus solely on them. Now finally, another huge aspect of true leaders is they inspire others to be leaders too. It's about empowering others to take ownership over their own lives, not just making everyone bow down to them.
I feel needy. Slaves, fetcheth me some nourishment.
Poor or fake leaders will always make their followers feel like they need them and have to rely on them. Real leaders, on the other hand, will show their followers that they can do it too if they only put in the time and effort and believed in themselves. That's why I often tell people if you spend enough time with me, I'm going to get you to believe in yourself too. And sometimes, of course, I'm the one who needs others to pour back into me. Now, what's the main way to inspire followers to become leaders themselves? Practicing what you preach. There are, of course, different types of leadership. Some people out there are going to be more vocal, while another form is leading by example, and of course, both are required in different situations. I've always been more of the whole lead by example type, so I'm not going to be the guy screaming and yelling at people, but I'm going with my strengths. So when it comes to practicing what you preach, it's like anyone out there can talk a big game and lead from the back and yell at all the people in front of them, but no one's going to believe in you in the end unless you're acting in a way that shows others that you're able to do everything that you're speaking about. And it's there are plenty of people out there who claim to be super religious and super pious, and these people are able to recite every single Bible verse, and may even have a Bible verse in their Instagram profile, but when you meet them, they're nasty and mean-spirited, and you can tell that this person isn't actually making the world a better place. They can talk about it as much as they want, but if they were really sincere about living a spiritual, kind existence, they would actually put these teachings into action. Anyone can talk the talk, but are you actually going to walk the walk? Anyways guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing about real leadership. If you guys enjoyed what you heard, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Practice what you preach, lead by example. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.